All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the full set. I am not Dee Dee Delgado. As you can see, I am Nandi Kayyy. I'm an activist, artist. I'm working with Dee Dee a lot, and I hope it's not too presumptuous to say that you might see me around again. I'm so excited to be here with the Ororo S Munroe. Ororo, we're so happy to have you. How's it going? How you feeling today? What color do you feel today? If your mood was a color, what would it be?
I would have to say yellow. I've been wearing my oldest actually told me like, hey, I've noticed that you wear like a lot of yellow. And
Okay.
so I feel like yellow is my jam right now.
You know, I felt led to this yellow wig today. I didn't even have it before this show. And I said, I want to look nice. And I saw this yellow wig and I said, man,
Okay.
I
It
need
looks
it. So
good.
that what a great thing. Just a little bit about Ororo. If you don't know her, Ororo follows the path toward healing by way of anti-racism consulting firm called the Black Bull. Her project Snowstorm, which is anti-racism training in action by providing Black children and family education services who would otherwise not have options with her nonprofit organization Kayyy, and by lifting and giving to Black women and femmes and children through her nonprofit organization, Black Women Lead. Aurora knows the importance of education, and she knows that it can change a child's entire situation, perspective, and outcome. She's a mother, a wife, a sister girl, and a warrior for the people. We're so happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So obviously, I have to start with when I was doing research for the episode. You know, you Google Ororo Munroe, and everything that comes up is Storm. So obviously, the first question we have to ask you is, how did you take on Storm's name and why? And we want all the details.
Okay. So growing up, I've always been a blerd. Big in our family, video games, comics, Marvel, DC. And one thing that I loved about Marvel was Storm. I grew up watching X-Men, and she was always just, she was that bitch. Like, you couldn't mess with her. She was not fucking around. And she had the, especially on the show, she had the side eye was like, okay, look, I know how y'all get down, but that's not how I get down.
Right.
And so seeing that as a young Black girl, and not only knowing her origins of being Black African American, but also African as well, that really to me, because growing up, I didn't know where in Africa I came from. Now, as I got older, I did do my DNA test, so I know the bits and pieces and places that my ancestors were stolen from. But knowing that she was a part of something that I wanted to know, and then also a part of what I already knew, was so big for me. Another thing is she has to overcome a lot. Not only is she's like one of the main characters, she's a Black woman that's having these powers, and a lot of times she gets stuck. And she has to break through on her own. There's a lot of mental blockage, and I deal with that as well. There's a lot of me kind of sabotaging myself sometimes, and she does that. And then she has to grow and learn that not only is she a mutant and she's omega level from there, but she also is a goddess. Without her mutant powers, she would still be a goddess because of her heritage. That's literally who she is. And being a mutant doesn't make her, because she's amazing no matter what. And I've had to learn that too. One thing that she deals with, and you see her grow from it with some of the writers and some of the iterations of Storm, is being claustrophobic. She had to deal with that on her own. She had to learn and process that on her own. And although I'm not claustrophobic in the physical, mentally I can do that to myself. I can feel boxed in, and the anxiety and the depression just start setting in, and I just, like, there's nothing I can do but crawl into a corner and just not feel myself. But I'm starting to realize that I'm more than enough, And it is okay to admit that I'm tired. It's okay to say that I'm not superwoman. It is okay to feel those emotions because they're not necessarily negative, but I don't have to allow them to consume me. And be afraid of them. I let them pass over me, let them happen, and then let it go. So that's why I chose that name, because it means so much to me. She means so much to me.
I love that. I had to ask because I've been watching X-Men again. It's on Disney Plus. We in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't really that much to do, and I started watching X-Men again. And I was just like, wow, X-Men is really the story of marginalized folks. And Storm, in almost every movie, they've gotten Storm wrong a few times. But I think it was X-Men Apocalypse, I think is what it's called, where she's this ostracized kind of character. And she meets up with the wrong team. And she's like, actually, nah, like I actually support people. I don't want to kill them all. And I thought that was super dope. I love Storm. So thank you so much for sharing that. Next, I want to go into a quick little game. It's just a little swipe left, swipe right. I don't know if you swiped on Tinder, but most people know if you like it, you swipe right. If you hate it, you swipe left. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about these. So let's dig in first. Okay. Swipe right, swipe left, face masks.
Left.
Swipe left? Why not? All right, let's talk about it.
Well, I'm in a house most of the time with my kids. So, okay, so swiping left is liking, swiping right. Okay.
Swipe right is liking.
Okay, so I would swipe right if I'm outside. I stay in the house because I have little kids, so I don't need to wear a mask. My husband wears a mask all the time, even going to check the mail. Because I don't play that. You go outside, you go to the car, whatever, put the mask on. In the house, no. But definitely swiping right to like it. And people should be wearing a mask, okay? Wear the mask, y'all.
Right. Please, everyone, please wear a mask. All right. Number 2, quarantine homemaking hobbies. Everybody has picked up something new they're doing, which since they've been in their house. What do you think? Swipe right, swipe left?
Yeah, I would swipe right. This is a great time. I think one thing that I saw was that people were, when everything first started happening, people were talking about how people were still trying to be productive in the sense of, I got to work, and how slowing down, especially in America, slowing down is seen as lazy.
Yeah.
And I think that with quarantine, and if you have the ability to slow down and do some things that you don't necessarily like, but you want to try, why not? I think taking time, doing hobbies, doing self-care, trying something new is something important. And it doesn't make you lazy. It makes you human, and we are human, and we shouldn't have to work all the time to feel that we're worth something. So I definitely love trying new things, even if I never do it again. Like I can say that I did that. And even if it's in quarantine, people should be able to do that without people side-eyeing them like, why are you not trying to? Okay, because COVID.
Right.
That's why.
Have you picked up any hobbies over the quarantine yet?
I haven't, but I've been able to play more video games, which has been nice. Yes. And I've been able to actually read more, which is always a good thing for me because I've gotten a lot of new material to read. Yes. I actually wanted to show, I got this for my birthday from one of my sisters, and it is so good. It's poems. Her name is Brittany Black Rose Capri. And it is so good. Like, it got me so, I was reading it late at night after I put my baby to sleep. And I was so emotional because Black women, Black femmes, Black non-men, Black majors, we go through so much. And people are still even those that should be demanded, like your kids. Like, yes, they have every right to demand of you. But it's like a constant with the world, with your kids, with your family, with yourself. And like, this was just so validating for me. Like, it's such a good book, and I would recommend everybody grabbing it and reading her poems. And it can be triggering. Some of them can be triggering.
Right.
It's a lot of talking about being Black and queer in a hoe, and I love it.
I love it. I'm Black and queer in a hoe, so
Right.
I really feel that really touches me on a personal level. So thank you for sharing that. Hopefully somebody can drop that in the comments.
Yes,
I'll drop
please.
it in the comments so that people can check that out. All right. Next question. Swipe right, swipe left on Dominique Jackson from Pose to play Storm.
See, and we had to talk about this. I love Dominique. Now, the only reason why I don't want her to play Storm is because she's not dark enough. And I think she would be great as someone else. But Storm is dark. Storm is like, when I see Storm, I think of me. I think of my skin color. Now, Dominique is brown, but and that's a shade that's valid. But she's just not Storm brown, Storm dark brown. And so for me, just like they were saying, like there was a whole thing where they were saying Beyonce was going to be Storm because they were casting her in Black Panther too. How many Black people live in Wakanda? Is it just Storm? I mean, she could be anybody, you know? So I think for me, it's a no. I want to see, I would love to see her in Marvel Universe because she's dynamic on the screen. But a Storm, no. And the same for Janelle, no.
Come on now, I feel you. Janelle for me was out of left field. Do you have any possible picks for Storm who you personally would like to see play Storm?
I do. You know, I never say her name right. She plays on
American Gods.
American Gods. It's
Yatiti. Oh my
yes,
God.
I love her. I am so obsessed with her. Oh my God. I love her. Not only she got the look, she's already a goddess before, so she can do it. I know she can do it. That's her. She got the part. Let her have the part.
Let me cool down for a second because you know I really love her too. I watched her on American Gods, and as soon as I saw her suck that man up into her pussy, I was like,
"What?
Wow!"
I was so shocked. But it was a good shot. I was like, yes.
We stand a queen. I love it.
For her, it was just like, okay, on to the next.
Very natural.
Okay,
very natural.
Very natural. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for that pick. All right, last one. Swipe right or swipe left on Wakanda?
I would definitely go to Wakanda. Now, I feel like for me, going to Wakanda, I may not stay in Wakanda, just because of my feelings that I have with leadership in some ways. You know, he opened up stuff to white people. Like, if I got to deal with them anyway, I mean, you know, now will they let me in? That's something that you got to ask yourself too, because I don't fuck with Killmonger because he killed a Black woman, so I can't fuck with him. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I understood what he was trying to say. Like, you know, you have this power. Why didn't you give it away to help your people that look like you? And that is always something that I think about. So I don't know, because I'm gonna be asking T'Challa, what the fuck happened? Like, I need to know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk to the manager when you get there, for sure.
You're right. You know, I'm gonna need to know. So it's like, well, Wakanda, will they accept me? Because I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna be for sure trying to get up in that political. Hello, yeah. So why didn't y'all have the other Negroes? So we need to know. We need to understand.
Right. Yeah. That is facts. Well, thank you so much for playing with us. That was great. I feel like we got to know a little bit more about you and what's going on. So now let's talk about your work. There's so many things to cover, but I want to definitely start talking about your anti-racism education work. And how did you come about starting the Blackful? Kind of, where's your passion for education come from?
Okay, well, I am a Black, dark-skinned, plus-size queer woman, and I've dedicated my life to the liberation of Black women, femmes, non-men, and our children. I also live in Southern California, and people want to act like we just don't have racism here, and we do. It's just a part of life. You can't go anywhere in the world and not experience racism as a Black woman, especially when you look like me. It's just not possible. So I've been doing work like this, community work like this, since I was a little girl. My mom was, now I'm an atheist. I believe in my ancestors. I honor my ancestors, but that's it. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I was Christian. My mom was a pastor, and we did a lot of community work. My mom would cook meals. She would fry chicken. She would make chili, cornbread, all these big meals. We would go out. They used to call it the Holstro, because it was where all the sex workers and their children lived and homeless mm-hmm. people lived. And we would set out tables. We would get donations of clothes and toys and stuff. And my mom would preach a sermon, and we would feed everybody, and we would do the work. Now, white people would get upset with my mother for doing the work. My mom would do all this on her own. She would cook the meals, all spending her own money. And so we grew up poor in the hood. So she was taking our money, and she was feeding people and housing them, or not housing them, and making sure that they had what they needed for their homes and their right. children too. And white people would get so mad at her because she wouldn't include them, or she wouldn't do it their way, and she wouldn't do it through a church, or she would just do it because this is what she wanted to do. Back in the day, you didn't need no permits or anything. This was the 90s. Right. You didn't need any of that. Right. So she would go to the hotel manager, who was usually a shady person anyway, and ask, could she do this work? And she didn't need anybody telling her she could or couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And they would get mad at her because she wasn't utilizing them. Mm. So I realized very early on that I would have to fight, because my mom was doing she was doing something good, and they still wanted more. She was taken from us, and they still wanted more. They wanted more of her, and they wanted her to give it to them. So growing up, I realized that, racism was a real thing. It only impacted people that look like me, especially people that look like me. Right. And I would usually educate people because it was safer if I did that. If I taught them how to treat me, I would be safer in this instance. So I would give, and some of them was taking the information, some of them wasn't. It wasn't a big deal. But then I started realizing, I guess right around when Trump got into office, and I started realizing, and that's really when I started realizing these people know exactly what's going on. And one thing that white people is going to fight for forever is animals, mm-hmm. they money, and they racism. They're going to fight to be able to do that. So I realized, okay, if I'm going to change the world in a way that I really want to, I have to do it on my terms, and I also have to educate people so that I can make Black people that they come in contact with safer. I have to make Black people safer. If I can teach a white person about their whiteness because they don't know, then the Black person that they are married to, the Black person that they are lord over or boss over or whatever, that Black child that they teach every day is safer. Mm. But I got to do it on my terms. Because white people will demand, suck you dry, and then still want more. And it don't matter if you have given so much, they can see that you're all dried up. They want more, and they want it for free. They want it for free. They want you to just give. Black women have always been conditioned, even in our own community, to just give, and not expect anything back. And so for a long time, I had to go within myself and say, I'm at it too. I'm worthy too. It don't matter if I'm queer, it don't matter if I'm dark skinned, no matter if I'm plus size, I'm worthy. Mm-hmm. And if so many people want this information from me, why can't I? Because this is not my field professionally. I didn't go to school to learn this. I lived this shit. I went to school for education. I got a master's in special education. I got a bachelor's in education. I went to school to teach children. That was always my passion. And I realized that although that is something that my heart wants, I had to dig deeper, and it was going to cost me, because dealing with white people, it costs you something. Yes, it does. You either going to be true to yourself, and you always going to be called A, B, C, D, F, G, or you're going to be what they want you to be and still be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I realized early on that I needed to on top of realizing that I needed to put my words into physical form, put my words where people can read it and can educate themselves for it, I needed to also get paid for my labor, because there's white people telling my motherfucking story that's getting paid. So you got second and third hand accounts of what I actually lived through, and you deserve to get paid. But if I do it, it's like, well, why don't you just tell me how to treat you? So then I realized that can't work anymore, and I got to be paid. And I got a lot to say because I've been through a lot.
Right, yeah.
Different layers to being Black, but there's always that layer of being Black on top of being queer, on top of being plus size, on top of being a mother, on top of being a single mother, on top of being in interracial relationships, on top of all these things, we have other layers. And I had these experiences. So I started just very slowly, because overwhelming myself with white people was not an option for me. Very slowly started educating and charging for it. Nothing serious, just the little basics. Usually parents was coming to me because they didn't know what to do. But then I realized there's a lot more than just teaching parents. There is workplace racism, medical racism. I needed to go further. There's racism in law, and I needed to go further. So then I decided, because of course, as Black people, we know always somebody does want to say something about you, whether that's a white person or a Black person. So I was like, I need to legitimize, even though I'm legit, I need to do it in the eyes of the law. So I started the Black Folk, because I was already doing the work, and I said I didn't want nobody stealing my shit. So I copyrighted and trademarked my shit, and then I created a business.
Right.
And then that's when things started to take off, especially when things started happening with Brianna and George and all those people that were being killed. It just started taking off. And so people realized, oh, this is really a problem. So we've been living this since y'all it stole us from our land, but it's now a problem in 2020. Like, wow, we're in 2020 and we're shitty. We really are. So I said, okay. So I started creating workbooks. I started working with a team. That's going a little further, but for the Black folk, I started creating workbooks. I started doing sessions, and I started ensuring that I could teach the way I wanted to teach. Could nobody tell me nothing. I don't coddle white people. I don't give a fuck about how they feel. When I'm teaching, I'm thinking of Black children, Black women, Black mages. I'm thinking about us. How I'm gonna make us safer. That's where my mindset is at. Even when I'm teaching about white people and teaching them their kids about racism and how they are racist and how they are teaching them that. Because when we say nobody is born racist, we really mean that. Yeah. Babies come out just a blank slate, ready to learn. You started implementing all the bullshit that we get with adult white people, because they learned that from either you, your mama, their grandma, their grandpa, uncle, and it's so subtle, but it's so there.
Yeah, I mean, they're not around anybody else. That was great. I wanted to ask you, because you just talked about a few of the people that you teach kind of in your work, who are kind of the people that you find yourself in front of the most. And then I'd love to kind of know, what are the responses you get? I'm sure they run the gamut, especially because you don't coddle. I'm a non-coddler too, but I would love to kind of know who your audiences are and what their responses are. I'd love, especially when it comes to children, because that's always fascinating to me.
So I usually, it varies. When I first started, it was usually parents, people just trying to do better because they were wanting to change and wanting to teach their children. They didn't know where to start, what was appropriate, what can I say? But then I started getting doctors. I don't do police. I don't give a fuck if they Black. I don't care if they POC. I don't fuck with the police. So I won't teach a police. I won't. You better go somebody else can teach you, because I don't fuck with 12. But I'll do a lawyer. I have a couple of lawyers that I've talked with, and usually it's people that are trying. I've had some just they're just regular people, never really told me much information about them. And I usually vet a little bit before I take on, because you come up in my inbox talking greasy, we're going to have problems. And I've had people get upset with me. I have therapists. I have people that are trans adoptee or adopters or whatever. So it varies. It varies. The responses I get, a lot of people, and this is going into what I do, my other thing that I do with Black Women Lead. A lot of people are in some of my groups that I co-founded, and so they already know how I get down. Some of them have, told people about me. Some of them just researched on Google and found me. For the most,
tell us a little more about Black Women Lead too, since you're talking about it. Definitely fill us in on that too.
Black Women Lead. Well, let me finish this thought.
Yeah.
So most of them are typically from that group and then referred out. Some of them just happen to find me. I will say, before I bring up Black Women Lead, majority of the people are understanding that they are racist. White people, they are racist. That is who they are. They're not allies. They're oppressors. There's no allies under white supremacy. It just cannot exist. That doesn't make any sense. So they understand that. Some of them fight against that because, well, I'm a good person. And so, I want to be an ally. If you need a label to do the work, you weren't here to do anything anyway. So either do the work as the oppressor trying to change that, or, get out of the way. That's it. So with Black Women Lead, I met two wonderful women that are my sisters that taught me real sisterhood that I hadn't ever had in my life. And I got good friends and I love them to death. But these women were in the trenches with me, combating white people and Black people trying to coddle white people. And I was like, racism hurts. Racism is killing us and harming us and ensuring that there's disparities and wealth disparities and medical racism. There's so much happening with racism. Why are we being nice to these people that literally are safe? They are safe. No matter if they talk about it or not, they're safe. Why are we being so nice to them? I don't want to be nice no more. What has niceness ever got us? And if we're going to be nice and they're still going to do it and we're going to be mean or yell or scream or not coddle them, I'm going to do what it comes natural to me. I want to be the person that they look at and say, she's not playing when she's talking about this. This is really going on. And my feelings are not more important than her actual life. So it's Fatima and Alicia. We started talking. We were like, we need to create a platform where Black women can lead and not just say Black women lead, but then when Black women go off on somebody, it's like, well, you didn't have to say it like that. Right, so right. You don't get to police me. So what we did is we created a network of groups on Facebook. And this is before we even started our nonprofit, which was always in the back of our mind, but we said we wanted to create a brand. So it's Black Women Lead, Three Sisters Theory. We started creating, we have a feminist group, which was our first group. And we were like, we're going to take it slow, But then we started seeing that the other group that we were in just wasn't our cup of tea. So we started creating other groups. We created Discussing Racism. We created Parenting, LGBT, Men Can Do Better, Mental Accountability or Mental Wellness, and then the Get Together, which is our Black only group. And then also Wellness Accountability. So we created all these groups so that Black women's voices could be heard. Black theme voices can be heard. Right. Black marginalized genders can be heard because we are not heard. You look at Black women and we're always told to be quiet. And if we're anything other than quiet, we're aggressive, we're attacking, we're doing all these things. And so we created the group and then we realized that Black women need help. And we're usually when you see help, it doesn't look like us unless it's some kind of negative connotation to it. So we realized, and I've worked and seen Black women on Facebook all the time making such a difference. And so I was like, you know what? I can do that too. I know that I can do it. I can get people that understand that their wealth belongs to Black people because we built this country, and you need to donate monthly, and you need to ensure if there's things that we haven't asked for that you can do. So we have a group of white people mostly, and it's usually, Alexa, pause, stop alarm. It's usually just white people. We never ask Black women to do anything because we just want to help. But we also have a lot of Black women that donate and give too, and we pay bills. We make sure they have schools. The kids have school supplies, childcare, groceries, supplies. We had right now we're doing a virtual school drive, back to school drive, where I'm having parents fill out a wish list for their kids, and we're sending them their Amazon wish list of backpacks, and whether their schools open traditionally or distance learning, like kids still got to go to school, whether they're at home or not. We pay, like I said, we typically don't pay like rent and stuff because it's just a lot of need for that, and we can't deplete ourselves. But we're paying bills. We're ensuring that they have money. If there's gas, if there's things that they need, we have the ability to say, "Here, sis, there you go. We got you," because Black women got each other. If it wasn't for Fatima and Annalisa, I don't know if I would have been able to pull it off, because there's so much that goes into it. You see, as Black women, we never truly tell you what's happening. So I see Clayton doing it, and I'm like, wow, I can do this. I can do it. And then when you get into the back end of it, you like, people get up in your inbox demanding of you, and you're like, what? I'm trying to help you, you know.
Katie talks about it all the time, you know.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
It's hard work.
It is very hard, and I think I took that for granted because it looks so easy, and then when you actually get, I remember the first time we got duped, and I was in tears, and the girls were like, "It's gonna be okay." I'm like, "Is it? We were duped. Like how?" And I remember Creighton told me, like, you have to create a vetting process. You got to understand sometimes it's okay to say no, and I know that you're doing this for Black women, but sometimes you got to understand that sometimes they will be the ones that hurt you the most. And it doesn't mean that you give up on them, but it just means that you have to protect yourself too. Because as a Black woman protecting other Black women, you got to remember you Black too. You're a woman too. You got to protect yourself. So we created a vetting system, and it's gotten so much better to the point where it's so easy now. The vetting process is easy. We're giving the funds. We're sending groceries. We're doing all these things. Kids got what they need. Black women and feet, they don't gotta worry about that bill this month. They good. And I feel so good about it, because it's like I know I was born to do this, but I didn't realize that the people that would be placed into my life, thank the ancestors, would be there like, we got you, sis, and you can be your authentic self.
Yes.
And so I can be me. I can be silly. I can be angry. I can be sad. I can vent. And they don't judge me, and they're like, "It's okay, sis." I can say I've never had that before, and I appreciate that sisterhood so much, because I needed that, whether I knew it or not. I needed that.
That's beautiful. Big shouts out to Annalise. Yeah, she's in the comments watching, loving you so much. I love when you talk about kind of like helping women out, and how women are, especially Black women, we really are all we got. Even, you know, we really are all we got, and we really support each other in a way that's super amazing. I know that you're huge on wanting to bring more women into sisterhood, and as someone who identifies outside the binary, but I like to use the word cis assumed. I'm like cis assumed. I see so many issues within, you know, Black women about sisterhood, and about how it feels. Some women feel that other women are erasing their womanhood. And so I want to, when you say bring people into sisterhood, what is sisterhood to you? And like, what does it look like for us to go out into our own communities and try to also foster more sisterhood?
Well, one thing we got to do for sure, sisterhood to me is any Black non-man. And even going a little further than that, someone that is just a person, you know, a Black person. Now, I do want to talk about the violence Black women face, and Black women and femmes face in the Black community by Black men. I do want to talk about that. But when I talk about sisterhood, any Black person that identifies like I would as a woman, identifies as a trans woman, identifies as someone that's non-binary, non-male, I I want us all to come together. Now, I've heard the arguments of, erasure, and I don't see how someone can erase something that this is who I am, this is me.
Yeah.
So
Great.
that don't bother me. I've gotten into it because, and this is going into my next thing with Stop Killing Black Women Initiative, where I've had people get upset with me because I've included non-binary and trans women in Stop Killing Black Women initiative that I've created. Getting upset. I mean, I've had to block people from my emails.
Wow.
Like, I'm not going to argue nobody's humanity with you, okay? I'm not going to do that. See, people, and this is one thing, and I want people to understand, so please hear me clearly. I've been fighting all my life, physically, figuratively. I've been doing all that all my life. Do not let Facebook fool you, okay? Because I present a certain way because I've grown. But ask anybody in my family, ask any of my friends. I'm really just not that person, okay? I don't have a problem throwing hands if I got to. Now, I don't want to. I really don't. I want us all to come together. But I'm not going to let nobody disrespect me or disrespect my sisters, because we got. Yeah. I got to fight white people. I got to fight racism, white supremacy. And then my own people, I don't want to do that. I got to fight black men because they slaughtering and killing us. I don't want to do that. If I got to fight somebody, let it be people that don't have no access to me really, but people that don't look like me. I don't want to fight my sisters. I don't want to do that. My sibs, I don't want to do that. No matter how they want to identify, I'ma still love them and I'ma still fight for their liberation. And if we're gonna do tit for tat, then I'm not fighting for you. You're gonna have to fight. Somebody else gotta fight for your liberation. Because when I say all black women, I mean that. Yeah. When I say all black non-men, I mean that. That's what I mean. And if you don't like it, oats and wells, because I don't really give a fuck. And I think people fail to realize because people be on Facebook just talking and not saying, you literally can ask people about me, okay? I've really grown a lot, and I really hone it in sometimes. But some of these people, I just be like, okay, you better be glad it's Facebook.
Right. What do you think about people using Facebook to kind of like, what do you think about how, I mean, especially since we've been in quarantine, everyone does is, right? I feel like all we do is all sit in front of a screen all day, whether it's a phone or computer or TV or whatever. For as far as like as a tool for conversation, even in your work, what do you like social media? Do you not? Is it back and forth? Because I know how crazy it gets. I'm on a Facebook ban right now, so
with Facebook, I call white people snows. Because I can't say white. That's why it's Project Snowstorm. Okay, white people doing what they got to do to dismantle. So navigating social media has always been a struggle for me because I feel like I can never really say what I want to say, especially on Facebook. I'm not really big on Twitter. I use Twitter, but I'm not. It's a lot going on Twitter, and since there's a lot going on Facebook, I gotta balance it. So I stay to Facebook because I know Facebook better. Right. But I think the tool of social media works. I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of fundraising. I've done real work, literally doing social media on social media. So it is valid. It is valid to be a social media activist. It is valid. I never want to invalidate anyone. I mostly work from home, and it's gonna be like that for a while because of COVID. And so it is valid. Do people get beside themselves? They really do. And I don't want them to, because the real world exists. And you got to understand outside, and by real world, I mean the physical world. I shouldn't say real because that seems I don't like that word. The physical world exists. And when you forget that there is a physical world, you can get beside yourself really quickly. You say things that you wouldn't say to someone's face. And I think people got to realize that you can't be that way, right. Especially with people like me doing this work in the community. I have insomnia. I stay up late. I'm always trying to figure out how can I help Black teens? How can I help Black women? What can I do for Black children to make it easier for them? Because even though they're going to school from home, kids are being thrown in jail from home for not doing school. But
Right.
so if I'm too busy arguing with you, I'm gonna miss that. And that is what I care about. You being upset with me because I'm holding Black men accountable, or I don't want to pay 16 of your bills. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Listen.
I can't. I mean, I can pay one, but then there's another Black
Mm-hmm.
woman that needs my help.
Mm-hmm.
So I think social media is great. It's a great tool. Online is great. It's a great tool. But I think people got to also remember the physical world exists, and you got to be mindful of that. And
Yeah.
I give Black women the benefit of the doubt. I always say I'm a hotep for Black women because I'll do it. I'm a pick me, not hotep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pick me for Black women. I'll do anything for Black women. Even when it goes against, or even if it harms me. And I know that can be bad, and I think people use that against me because they know how I feel. People know how I feel about Black women. I go hard in the paint, always, forever, because nobody else does. And if I'm
Right.
not doing it, who is going to do it? If Black women aren't doing it, who's going to do it?
We
But
always are.
I also know that there are people that are not seeing me that way. That they're not looking out for me as a fellow Black woman. And that's something that I'm still learning to accept. Because when I see a Black woman, I see a Black being, I'm like, I gotta help her. I gotta help them. I gotta do that. Because I know I may not know specifically what a trans Black woman goes through, but I know that they're not treated right. And I know that if I have the ability to help them, I want to do it so that she is safer. Why is that so wrong for people to expect the same for me? And it gets like that sometimes. But I'm realizing that one person doing me wrong does not mean everybody else has or everybody else will.
Right.
And Fatima and Alicia have taught me that.
Mm.
That there are women out there that will go hard in the paint for me, that will shut shit down for me. And so it's okay to say, it's okay, see ya, and not tear shit up.
Yes.
Because the old me want to tear it all up.
Yeah. So throughout your journey of doing this work, and we know how laborious it is, how draining it is. How did you get to this point now where you feel that way, where you feel okay? Like, how do you care for yourself now, in doing the kind of work you do? And how has your work shifted, and how does your self-care shift kind of in conjunction to?
Well, I love shopping.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily for me, like for my kids, for my friends, for family. I play a lot of video games and I read a lot of comics.
Right.
That is, if like I told you before, if I could do that all day, play video games and read comics and write all day, I would do it. It calms me. It you can get so many emotions just from a book, from a comic, from a video game. I just finished Hunter x Hunter. And it's just this last season was so emotional. And some people it's just like, well, it's just a show, it's just an anime. But you get invested in these characters and you want to see them succeed. And even though you can go online and read what's happening, watching it play out on TV and then seeing the success, but seeing the sacrifice, but knowing that okay, it is a show and it doesn't impact me, but I can still feel these emotions. I like stuff like that.
I cry during animes.
Like
I be crying. I be like, I love them. Oh my God.
Right,
They're such good friends.
I love them. And I feel that way. Like if that is what brings me joy. And there's times where I should be writing, I should be creating something. I'm like, I'm about to let me go. Where's my X-Men comic? Let me go on comic. It gave me another comic. It turned into a movie, Old Guard. It's a movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I started reading the comic, and it's even though I saw it on the movie, I'm like, oh man, I love that. And that brings me joy. Stuff like that is completely outside of what I do for a living, what I do on a day-to-day. It balance. And then I go to therapy. My therapist is a Black woman. It took me 2 years to find her.
Thank you for
Black it was worth it. It was worth it. And sometimes I'd be slacking and she'd be like, girl, I better see you at this meeting on Friday, and I'll be like, okay, because I think like, oh, I'm okay, I feel better. And she's like, yes, because you are doing what you're supposed to do, but you still got to maintenance. You know, you still, for me, because I have trauma from my childhood and from my early adulthood, that I need to still be able to express and get out. But I think, you know, when you take your medicine, you start feeling better, and you're like, I don't need it no more.
Yeah.
And then you get sick again. That be me all the time. My therapist is like, if you don't stay your ass at this therapy session every week, we're gonna have. And she's like, considering the work that you do, you have got to come. And one thing I love about therapy with Black women, and even I don't have to give it all to my sisterhood, because I know they go through shit too.
Yeah.
I can balance out the pain to other Black women, and we can it don't always have to be on one of us. We can we can dealt pieces of it, and it can just dissipate over time, so that it's not all on one person, making that one person. Because even my therapist has a therapist, as a Black woman therapist, and giving her my load is heavy. She got to hold that on top of everybody else that she is healing as well.
Yeah.
And so I can give to her, knowing that she can give to someone else, and then they're giving to, and I feel okay with doing that, not just dropping it on, even though my sister would take it, not just dropping it all on them and expecting them to just hold on to that pain and that anger and that frustration. I can give it to the professional Black woman that is supposed to do this and has her own way of healing herself out, because my therapist can't take nobody else. She's so booked. And I can just imagine, you know, what she's dealing with other people. And then when COVID came, it was rough, you know, everything changed. Everything. I used to love looking forward to getting out of the house, away from my kids, and going to see her. And it just kind of changed. And
so how has your life changed with COVID? Like, how have you been affected? How long have you been quarantining? You're in Southern California. So when did you? So since March. So over 5 months, just like most of us. How has like your home life changed? You have kids. How is that being at home right now?
So I just gave birth to a baby in September of last year. So before their little life could really get started, COVID was like,
wow,
how y'all doing, everybody? We here. And so we've been in the house majority of their life. And we have a quarantine section in the front of the house where all of our boxes and things go. So we let to quarantine. My husband, when he goes to work, he comes home, he strips down, puts his clothes in a mesh bag, throws it in the wash on hot, go get in the shower. Like there's so many things. Groceries come in, we're washing off bags and switching them to Ziplocs, and it's just so different now. Now we, of course, growing up, we wash off food, wash off your vegetables and wipe off boxes, but not at the level we are now. There's some things I will order, and then like a month later, I'll be like, did that ever come? And he's like, it's probably in quarantine. So it's so weird that that's where we at. But that's where we at. Like I don't go outside unless I have to. And I was very cautious anyway, because I just had a baby and still postpartum, still healing. But then, you know, when it got real, I was like, yeah, we just gonna be in the house. And my kids, they understand. I'm very open and honest when I talk to them about things that are happening. And it's like, I got to keep you safe. I don't care what the world is doing. I don't care what your friends are doing. We not, you know, we up in the house until they figure
Black mama. That's
you
right.
know what I'm saying?
Let them know.
We're gonna be in the house. And so we've been, and it's been difficult because my middle is special needs. He has ADHD and a speech delay, and there's things that we miss out on because I don't go out. So trying to like buy them anything that they want, to ensure that they are not missing out on so much, and then having, like, all of our birthdays have been quarantined, you know, doing video birthday parties and stuff. And I turned 30 in June and had a virtual party or get together with my family. It's just a lot, just a lot different from what I imagined my 30th birthday would be. But at the same time, I'm not risking my life or my kids just to celebrate. I mean, I'm here. I'm gonna be here, ancestors willing, and there's a different time to celebrate that.
What about
So
work? How's that? How's work since quarantine?
well, it's been, everybody's on video chat. So
Yeah.
I can still do it. My husband has to go out,
Okay.
so that's a stressor.
Right.
But and as he is an educator, so he has to go out and he has to educate. He has to do his job. For me, it just was kind of like, okay, well, you coming to your session today because I'm gonna be in my pajamas and I'm not doing my hair. Okay. So I'm gonna have my wrap on and I'm gonna have my bonnet on and my clients understand, like, and that's one thing about me, like I like being comfortable. Um and if that upsets you, if that bothers you with me being comfortable, teaching you how to be a good person, teaching you how to not be racist, then you don't need to even be here. Okay.
Facts.
This is who I am. Okay.
Facts.
Like if you hear my kids crying, hey, ignore it. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is the life that we live, and because people are just kind of ignoring, staying in their house, we can't get rid of this shit.
Oh
So
my God.
until people get their shit together, this is how it is.
Facts on
And
facts.
so I've been okay. Like job wise, everything has been okay.
Yeah.
I've been able to do just not being able, because I'm an introvert, it's easier for me. But not being
Yeah.
able to go outside and feel comfortable breathing in the air. That's
Right. Yeah,
that's
that's
been a little
hard. Yeah, the mask thing is like pretty, like I've probably seen maybe like 5 to 7 people over the past 5 months. They all live quite close to me, and that's like my very limited circle, and we see each other with masks on, like that's just life right now. And I'm in New York, so we've been also locked down
right. Yeah,
since,
York
and New
got hit.
York is one of the safest places to be right now, but we wear masks everywhere. So, but also like you, I'm an introvert. I'm very happy to be inside. I do miss the option of like
Yes.
going to do things, but it's cool. There's a lot that's been going on since we've been locked down, and I wanted to ask you, just because you're a Black woman leader, like so there's two things, right? There's Black women, we're on it. Like, I mean, there's no question about that. The US, Black women are the most educated demographic in the country, but also one of the most discarded. So as far as Black women as leaders and caretakers, what sticks out to you most about the role that Black women are to play, kind of in what possibly, it kind of looks like we're in a little mini revolution right now, and I am super hopeful about what can happen. So I'd love to know what you think about Black women's roles, or it could be a lot of roles, and what's happening right now, and how you think other people should be responding to Black women also.
Well, my thing is Black women need to be leading. I mean, everything is stolen from us anyway. So now it's time to let us lead and to pay us for that leadership and to allow us to do what we need to do. Now that takes me to my next point, because you said, what do Black women need to be doing, and how do people need to respond to that? Whatever a Black woman want to do, I'm gonna support that. As long as she is not hurting herself, as long as people aren't hurting her, I want a Black woman to do what is best for her always, always and forever. And I'm gonna support sis because I want to. I think people expect Black women to save the world, and they completely disregard that we are human.
Right.
This is what I teach my white feminist clients, who get on my motherfucking nerve, and yes, they know that too. Y'all expect Black women to do all this labor, just like your foremothers. You expect Black women to lead and to give our bodies, give ourselves, give our minds to everything. When we expect the favor back because of our issues that are specific to Black women, it's like, no, we're all women. We don't want to do that. We can't do that. Well, it's not my problem. So maybe you should just be focused on my problems, and then it'll trickle down to you. Black women are seen as these celestial beings, the superhuman, superwoman. So when people hit us and hurt us, they're like, I'm a mere human. You're a celestial being. What is a God to a little human? I'm not hurting you. And then when we respond, it's like, you just celestial being, you just blasted me. And it's like, I'm human. I'm human. And I'm sick of Black women being seen as the saviors of everybody. Why do we have to save people that wouldn't even spit on us if we were on fire? Why do I got to do
that too? Because they're not doing it now.
We know that. We know it. Look, the numbers and the data don't lie.
They don't.
Black women always show up to vote compared to everybody else, even Black men. We always there, but you never see nobody voting for Black women, voting for Black women to get ahead. If it doesn't impact them, they're like, yeah, whatever. Okay, well, see you next time. You better be at the ballot. You better be at the polling station. And I'm just saying, why do I have to give all of me? And then you don't have to give none of you.
Oh,
I just saw it today. This man was like, yeah, Black women gonna save the US. No, I'm not. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm not gonna do, I don't want no parts of that shit.
Right.
Y'all still owe me reparations. So when I see that, then we can talk. But that's just talking. That don't mean I'm gonna listen, because when I want y'all to listen, y'all don't want to. Y'all demand of me, especially women that look like me, dark skin, plus size. We supposed to be on all fours, letting everybody on top of us. Ooh. And then when I say, I can't take no more, I'm hurt. Can you help me? Oh no, we
you're
done.
so strong, but you're strong though.
Oh yeah, you the strongest one. Look at you. I literally have people tell me, and this is just a little bit apart. My husband is a white man, and one thing that we don't talk to my in-laws anymore, and it's been years, is because they wanted me to not be me. I needed to make my mother-in-law comfortable. I had to make my father-in-law comfortable. I had to make them comfortable. They wanted it. They wasn't when they thought of radical Black people, they thought of MLK. You're supposed to be nice to me and turn the other cheek. Bitch, no. not this Black woman.
Like that's like early 1960s.
You know what I'm saying? So
Martin
my actually told me, and I'm not even kidding. This was it for me. My father-in-law told me that as a plus size woman, Black woman, I could avoid being raped if I puffed up my chest and made myself bigger. Now I may be size. I promise you. Around Christmas, we was visiting for Christmas. Now I'm only 5'2", 5'2.5". I'm not very tall at all. But this white man told me I can keep myself safe from being raped. So we're not gonna blame the rapist. We're not gonna blame violent men. But me, I need to be pumping myself up to appear bigger than I am already, so that men will be like, "Wow, she's too big," and walk away. And I'm like, now that's personal to me, because I was sexually abused as a child, and as an adult, I was raped and sexually assaulted. So was I just not big enough then? Because I've been pretty plus size my whole entire life. What was it then? I mean,
wow.
what is it then? And then I have my in-laws basically say, well, offended that I didn't want to go to their home, which has a Confederate flag flying proudly over their home. And I was just supposed to be okay with that.
Wow.
They could not understand why that would be, because it's heritage, Right. Why are you treating us like this? Why do you have to be different?
Wow.
And they're from the South, and I know some in the South, Black people got to protect themselves in a different way. And so
I'm from the South. I don't know. I don't go into white people's houses with Confederate flags. I'm born and raised in the South. Would not catch.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Or an American flag. If you have an American flag, I might not go in. So,
so for them, it was like, she's taking him away because she is being this person that is just unreasonable. And I don't argue my humanity with anybody. I don't argue what racism looks like to me. I don't do that.
Right.
I said no, and I meant no. So we don't talk to them. We cut them off, and it's been freeing. And that's another thing that if I don't even allow my in-laws, why I'm gonna let you a stranger tell me anything? I really don't. I could not care. I wish I could care less because I just don't have anything to care. It's zero. It's nothing is there. So going back into Black women, Stop Killing Black Women initiative. And this is one thing, as you said, Black women are the most educated. Not only are we the most educated, out of all the demographics of women, we are in the top tier of women in the workforce. There's 60% of Black women in the workforce. And I think Latin women are second to are right next to us too. And so we're working. We are out there doing what we're working. But not only are we not getting career jobs, most of the jobs that we are having to work are jobs of servitude. Even if that's not our career path, if that's not our career choice. And even in our career of choice, we're being passed up for promotions and raises and things that would allow us to be on salary or be careered. Black women are not given the choices, even though we have those degrees and have the higher education that they said that we needed to get into that space. They still, now they move the goalpost that, well, now, you got to start from the bottom and do all this work. Even though you've been doing this for a long time, even though you have great ideas that I'll steal from you, but that's about it.
I'll take your ideas. I'll let you do the work. I won't promote you. I won't pay you more.
Right. Yeah. And then I'll gaslight you so you can get confused about, well, maybe it's not that big of a deal. And maybe I shouldn't complain because maybe this is just how it is because I am new to this and I've never had this opportunity. And so we stay silent, we stay hurt, and we don't say nothing. And even if we do, then it's like, we might have to let you go because, we saw that you was late one time and we don't like you being late. It's like, well, I was late because, I got to drive. I don't live in this neighborhood. So I got to drive all the way here. It's not my fault, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And over 80% of Black women are the primary breadwinners for households.
Right.
We are doing the most work. But we are being slaughtered and being killed, and not by police, by men that look like us in our community. Every 17 to 21 hours, a Black woman is murdered. July 12th alone, 11 Black women and children were murdered, not by police. How many stories did you hear about?
I mean, obviously we know none.
None. Don't nobody care when Black women and children die. This week alone, 5 Black children were gunned down in their community. How many stories? How many marches? How many protests? Black women are being sexually assaulted. 60% of us will be sexually assaulted by a family member or a family friend before we reach the age of 18. 60%. That's over 50%. And we don't even have that's Black girls. We don't even have the numbers for Black boys because the homophobia in our community.
Yeah.
And we're giving children the shame of these violent adults.
Right.
Children are getting blamed for these violent adults and their behavior towards us and our children. Black women are the demographic that's being killed the most. Over 50% of Black women are being killed by gun violence. 40% of us, more than 40% of us, will experience domestic violence in our lifetime. Over 40%.
Wow. When
the average for all women in the US is 31.5%. 41.2% of us have experienced some kind of physical abuse. Right. And nobody is talking about it but Black women. But since nobody listens to Black women, it's mostly unheard of. Now, I have data all the way back to the 90s, from medical racism to the violence in our communities that Black women have been facing, Black females have been facing, and not much has been done. The fact that there is medical data itself just from Black women being killed, sometimes in different areas, 6 times more likely than white women during and after childbirth. That I have that data from the 90s, and we're just hearing about doctors acknowledging and even thinking about it in 2019, 2020. When this does not just go back from the 90s, from enslavement. They have not cared about Black women. They have not cared about Black children.
Yeah.
We get it from every side. I get threats from Black men.
Yeah.
Every week. Every week I get threats from Black men. Now I'm working with Rosa Page. She does the Black Femicide USA. I have to commend her. I love her so much. She's a nurse, and she literally spends time. She gets stories after she just made me an admin in the group, and all the emails and or messages that I see of people telling their story of a family member that we don't see on the news. You know, my sister was just shot and killed by her boyfriend. You know, my mom is missing and no one is saying. We got 75,000 Black women and girls missing. Literally, where did they go? Have you seen 75,000 stories about Black women missing? I haven't.
Right, no.
But we still bring up, well, anyways, we still bringing up people that everybody should have their story told. But when you're not hearing about Black women, when the numbers are so high, what is it?
Yeah.
What is it? Black women are not stealing themselves.
No,
Black
they're
children are not walking by themselves into a car that's driving itself. What is happening?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
It's a lack of community. Absolutely. It's literally Black women are in community with themselves. There's obviously division even there. And like you said, even from our own Black men, we're facing violence. Can you talk more about your initiative? About femicide and Black femicide? Would love to hear more about that, because I know I spend a lot of time challenging my especially cis male friends. You know, I say, hey, I see you talking about this, but I didn't hear you mention a woman's name yet. You know, it really bothers me that you haven't brought up a woman's name yet. And I'm your friend. You're friends with women. You have a wife, you have children. There's just also women are people who exist who also deserve justice and deserve their voices to be uplifted. So I spend a lot of time, you know, challenging my male friends on that. But I would love to hear about the initiative you have going on right now, because I think it's super important.
So when I after working with Rosa and seeing all the work that she does, I realized that having it all on her would be too much. She is taking these stories and stories that we don't hear, but stories that I would never hear about if it wasn't for her creating this page and listing all these stories of children and Black women just being slaughtered, and not by police. And so when I started following her, I said, well, somebody's got to do something. Once I started seeing all that she gets in her inboxes, all the stories that she posts, I said, okay, clearly there's a lot of work just going into that. What can I do to advance it? What can I do to ensure that more people are hearing what's happening to Black women? So I started the Stop Killing Black Women initiative, where our goal, or the main goal, is to hold Black men accountable for their harms and abuses, the trauma that they inflict on Black women and our children in our community. So I created a demand list for our governments, for anyone that will listen, that what Black women need so that we can be safe. And then my main goal, my ultimate goal, is to get Black women to become to have us listed as a protected group. And I want to go into the UN and I want to demand it. I am right now gathering data and trying to find a lawyer that will work pro bono to create the documents in the legalized form, however it got to look, so that they can see what's happening. Because this is not a third world country. This is the US, and Black women are being slaughtered.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will read stories several times a day, and it's children too. Y'all not letting our babies grow up. And you can't blame white supremacy. You got the gun in your hand and you deciding to shoot up in that house, not realizing somebody grandma in there, somebody kid in there. people that don't have nothing to do with your bullshit with another man that look like you, and you killing us. 5 kids, like I said, and I try not to get emotional about it because all the violence that I've experienced personally firsthand, from a child to my adulthood, was by the hands of a Black man. And when I told my story, I got, wow, okay, don't say nothing else about it. That was what I was told growing up. As an adult, we hear you, we see you. And then they still break bread with the abuser in my own family. So I realized that going to the Black community itself ain't gonna help me. Ain't gonna help Black women. Ain't gonna liberate Black people, Black non-men from being murdered and being slaughtered and killed. So I gotta take it to the laws. I gotta make there's gotta be consequences for harming a Black woman and a Black child. It's gotta just be more than just throwing them in jail. There's gotta be more to that. We gotta prevent it from even getting that far so that they know, man, if you do this, you done for sure. Ain't no, it's just like if you kill a cop, you done. You done for sure. Right. I wanna make it to where the fear of doing it alone protects Black women because we have done the work to ensure that. So I want to change the laws. I want to implement laws and preventive measures to make sure that we're Black women and children, Black women, Black non-men, Black mages are protected by the law, not just U.S. law, but in the UN, the United Nations, all protecting us. Yeah. We give so much to every place, and nobody's looking out for us. So on my website, you will be able to find it under Stop Killing Black Women Initiative. I have uploaded a demand and resource list on how you can contact your local congressmen and women, how you can contact your governments, and how you can demand this healing for Black women. Because we've never collectively had healing. We're still being slaughtered. We're still being killed. And I even created an in-house demand. By in-house, I meant for the Black community. Right. You got to start acknowledging that trans women are women. Stop being homophobic. Allow your kids to be who they are. Stop spanking your kids and harming your kids and thinking, oh, it's okay, because it ain't. Sisters, come together, because there's a lot of shit going on. We got to come together. And people get mad at me for that. Yeah. They don't want me to hold Black men accountable. Well, I got a Black son. Okay, good. So you can easily start now by ensuring that they understand. Right. Protect Black women. Protect Black trans women. Protect Black non-binary people. Yeah. When we say Black community, I've learned the hard way that we mean cis hetero Black men. Yes, and it's unfair. Because if we being real, I mean, that's the most boring group. We're gonna be real. We're boring. Okay. You've been in the spotlight forever. No, we know what you about. We know what you can do. Moving on. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're gonna be real, okay? Let's move You're around. Not the creators. You're just really not the creators of things that people really loving, you know? It's us that are queer. It is us that are women. It is our children. Yeah. You know, we deserve that representation. We deserve to be safe. We deserve our lives. I think it was 2 Black women within the last week that were pregnant that were murdered by their spouses. Wow. Yeah. Why? Or boyfriends. Why? Yeah. Black women, majority of Black women date within our race. So we are being killed by we're being slaughtered. It's happening. You can't deny it. The data's there. You get mad. Okay, to get mad. I don't mind you getting mad at me. Because if I'm working for the liberation, that means I want Black women, Black non-men to live. I want us to live. I want to be alive. And the only way I can be alive is if we have a chance to do it. Yes. So, and that goes back to your point of what should Black women be doing? We should be fighting for our liberation. We give so much to everybody else and they don't give it back. Let's fight for us. And then once we cool and we safe, then you can start doing for everybody else. Yeah. But I'm sorry, but there's too many things happening within us. And I don't got the spoons to give it to nobody else.
Right.
Because it's a lot just with what I have been able to research and what I've been able to learn from other Black women leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and just doing the work myself. There's a lot going on in our community, and it's usually just no one talks about it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's unfair. It's unfair because we deserve to live. We deserve to thrive. We deserve to say, you know what, I don't want to have kids. And ain't nobody can say no, nobody can say nothing.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
deserve to be a single parent and still be seen as worthy.
Yes.
Why do Black women have to fight for everybody else and then nobody fights for
Mm-hmm.
us? I don't operate like that. I
Yeah.
want to liberate all Black women,
Yeah.
all of our children, all of us, non-binary, everybody. I want us to be. I want that for us, because I can honestly say, have you ever really felt free? Have you ever felt
Right.
so free that this is like man, I really this feeling is something that I don't think I've ever felt freedom.
Right.
I don't think I cannot tell you what that actually looks like and feel. I can't tell you that
Mm.
because I've never experienced it. And even when I call myself a free Black woman, that's as free as I can be as a dark
Right.
skinned Black
Yeah.
woman. But real freedom, we Black women have never been able
Right.
to obtain that.
Yeah.
And it is, yes, largely because of racism and white supremacy, but yes, our community too.
Mm.
If we're not going to say Black men are doing this, yes, they are harming and we need to hold them accountable, then what are you really fighting for? Because when white people say, well, no, that was so and so, you get so mad about it.
Right.
So you got to get mad about other people saying, well, my brother not like that. Yeah, but my brother is. My daddy is, her nephew is. Okay, we say the same thing about cops.
Yeah.
Bad, all of them bad. Okay, well, you can't say that all Black men are bad. Okay, so what are the good ones doing to stop the bad ones from murdering
Listen.
us in cold blood?
And that's why I always try to remind people. And it's like the saying is that one bad apple spoils the bunch. That's the whole saying. Let
Right.
us not forget the second part that says that all the bad ones spoil the good ones. So regardless of how many good ones they are, just like police officers, just like cops, if they ain't speaking up, they ain't stopping injustice from happening, they're just as bad as everybody else. That's
Because
so important to remember.
we have seen stories of, well, he was hitting her, and I left because that's their business.
Mm-hmm.
One Black woman was murdered, literally on video. She was murdered by her boyfriend or husband, and the guy the witness was a Black man, I'm sure, was like, well, I can't speak on their relationship because I don't know. Well, you do
You
know this,
knew.
so it. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why can't we hold these people accountable? It just doesn't take away that you have a good father, that you have a good brother. But the fact
Mm-hmm.
of the matter is the data says that majority are
Everything.
slaughtering us.
Yeah.
We're being slaughtered. We
Yeah.
are being raped and harmed. And it's being swept under the rug and nobody wants to talk about it. And then kids are hurting and then they're growing up to be hurting adults.
Yeah.
And either they're getting healed by their own accord, like I had to do, or they just say, fuck it.
Right.
Don't nobody care. Why I gotta care?
Whew. So with that, and that's a great point. A lot of parents, a lot of kids around the country are going back to school in some capacity of or another, and your heart is in education, and especially hearing you talk about children and your heart for children and how important it is that we really like nurture children and try. I know that for me, that when I feel down, like in this work, it's kids that really just make it all worth it, because I see these like revolutionary babies who are at these meetings leading a SADA chant at like 8 and 9. And, these are the things that I didn't know until I was well into my 20s. And I think that the next generation, contrary to what some people might say, I think that they have a lot of really good things going for them. So I'd love kind of a final word to everyone who's watching about how we can better support our children and our black women and black femmes, black McGee's, because the babies are really like who are going to carry on this future, and most of us will never see the end of this work. But what can we all do to better support black women and also black children?
Well, we got to listen to black women. You got to hear us, even when it makes you uncomfortable, even when it has you looking at the people around you and saying, okay, yeah, they was nice to me, but they wasn't, not to them. They've hurt them. You have got to let children be children, and you got to let them be who they are. And I know that in our community specifically, I'm talking to black people, that can be hard. My oldest is non-binary. When I had them, I assumed they were male, but that is not the case. We have to be accepting of letting our children be who they are. They're telling us, and if you're not listening, well, then that's on you. One thing that I tell my child, if I ever become toxic to you, you can cut me off. You have the choice to say, Mom, this is what you're doing, and I don't like it, and I can heed that. Or you can say, I don't want, growing up, I had to deal with her, but now as an adult, I don't got to deal with it. There's nothing on this earth that's going to prevent me from being there for my kids. No deity, no, well, I feel uncomfortable. I don't care. They're my babies. Yeah. My babies that I grew inside of me. They're my kids. And ain't nobody going to tell me not to love them, or help them, or love on them, and ensure that they have what they need to thrive. Even if that I don't understand it completely. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm willing to learn. Yeah. Listen to black women, protect black women, protect trans black women, protect disabled black women, protect single mothers, black single mothers, protect our right to be who we want to be, no matter what that looks like to everybody else, whether you understand it or not. Fight for our liberation, all of us, all of us. And I know this is how my motto, Harriet couldn't take and didn't take everybody. And it wasn't because she didn't want to.
Right.
But some Negroes got to be cut loose. Yeah. And that's okay. Black women, you don't owe nobody nothing. You don't owe white people your time. You don't owe them your vote. You don't owe them anything. You live your life the way you want to. And be happy with however that makes you feel. But we got to fight for the liberation of all of us. And if you are unavailable to do that because of whatever phobias or issues you have, stay out the way, sis.
Amen.
Because I don't want to cuss you out. I would prefer you just stay off my radar. Stay off the radar and let us do the work. Because you're gonna benefit. You're gonna benefit from it
either
regardless.
Way. Yeah.
And that's what I want to say. I want people to recognize that Black women are here. I'm aware. You can't put fear in my heart. I've been through too much. I was born and raised in the hood. Okay, the hood is in me. So I'm never gonna change. But I'm here for my people.
Yeah.
I'm here for these babies, and I want us to be liberated. And that's gonna take some change within ourselves as a community. But we can do it. We have overcome so much. And like you said, these babies, I may not see them in my generation. But these babies are going to change the world. And I'm ensuring that my kids are prepared. My kids are ready to do the work.
Yeah.
They're not just going to talk about it and that's it. My kids are ready to do the work. They are doing the work. Teach your kids to do the work.
Yes.
And stop having your kids coddle white kids because they don't got to do that.
Ooh. Listen, this has been a word and a half, Ororo. We are so grateful to have had you tonight. Thank you so much. Everybody watching tonight, check out the pinned comment. Please give to Ororo if you were blessed like I was blessed tonight. Y'all are all blessed. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Full Set. Thank you so much, Ororo. You can follow Ororo everywhere. Where can we find you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm under my whole name, so you can the Ororo S Munroe on Facebook and on Twitter. And of course, you can subscribe to the Black Fool, my website, and you can get all updates. You can find me at blkwomenlead.com. That is my brand and nonprofit information. If you are a Black femme and you need help, if your kids need school supplies, please go to the website to fill out the application so that we can get you and the kids taken care of. And I thank y'all for having me, and I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you so much, Ororo. Thank you so much. It's been great. Thanks, y'all. Have a good night. We'll see you next